What do I say to my boyfriend who doesn't seem to realize he's just broken up with me? We have a 45 female OP and a 44 male boyfriend. This was originally posted in r/relationship advice, February 23rd, 2025. I've been dating my boyfriend for about a year. When I met him, he had separated from his wife and they were going through a divorce 8 months after separation. I don't usually date men who are only separated, but we just clicked. One thing I've asked from the beginning is whether or not he wants to have more kids because I'm child-free for medical reasons. He always said he wasn't bothered either way. The relationship with his children is very strained and they don't like going to see him. Little itty bitty of a red flag here. Now the divorce is complete. I've warned him that he'll spiral, having had friends go through the same thing, which is usually why I don't date men in this period. But he was adamant he was going to be fine. He isn't. He's totally spiraling. I suggested that he go back to therapy, but he doesn't want to. I said not to just have these thoughts and feelings swirling around in his head and to talk if he needs to. He started talking to me about his feelings, and one of them is that he wants to have more kids. Now he said this in a stream of consciousness in a voice note. I'm on the waiting list for a hysterectomy. He's still texting as normal. How do I confront this? He doesn't really have anyone else to talk to. However, our relationship is basically over in my head now. So he didn't break up with you, but he brought out a deal breaker that you guys had previously discussed. And so you're the one who's going to decide that this is a breakup. This is fucking messy. I know Reddit hates ultimatums, but I do think this is one of those situations where if you want to try to salvage this relationship, you need to have the ultimatum of like, if you still want to be with me and want to like grapple those thoughts, you need to go to therapy or we're breaking up on the spot. But I will say, it sounds like she kind of made up her mind. And also, guys, I don't know why. This is just a gut feeling. I don't know if there's exact evidence for this, but I'm getting a bad vibe from this boyfriend. Don't know how to explain it. I don't know if I have any logical reasoning for it other than my gut is like, I don't fuck with this guy. Ooh, the vibes are rancid. He wants kids, but not the kids he already has. I think you hit the nail on the head. Like the kid's not fucking with him and him not wanting to make an effort to like make amends with them. That doesn't sit well with me. He probably wants a do-over and that's not her problem. That sounds about right here. I think bro is going through a fucking crisis and in his head he wants a do-over of having kids. I think we're all on the same page. We don't fuck with the boyfriend. He needs to sort out his feelings and OP should not be caught in the crossfire. A couple of OP's comments here. I'm on the topic of the strained relationship with his kids/therapy. OP, so the relationship with his kids seemed awesome when we met. Then as the divorce arrangements picked up steam, they started having a bit more attitude and asking questions about finances that I wouldn't expect from children. When I met, he was in therapy, so I'm baffled as to why he's so against it now. It was actually one of the reasons I decided to see where this goes. We've had very frank discussions about the breakdowns of his marriage, and he's accepted what he believes is his part. And being from the same place as his wife, I could see things I would also find hard to deal with. Getting an outside view would be hard because his family are on his side. He's staying with his sister and they have been arguing because when his kids are being rude, she's trying to correct them and he's asking her not to. So there was a little bit of a switch up in terms of his relationship with the kids. Also a switch up on being open about therapy. You know what? I wish OP would have elaborated more on this paragraph. It has a lot of extra information, but it doesn't really go into the detail of it. All right, here's like a tiny update. Commenter said, could it have been a statement made in a spiral? Is it possible that the emotional complexities are deeper than a metaphorical shot across the bow? OOP responded to that saying, I believe it was because I got another text this morning saying that he doesn't want to have any more now. Okay, this is a good clarification. Does he realize that you actually don't want any kids? OP, oh yes, it is one of the first things I ask so as not to waste time. With my medical conditions, I wouldn't adopt. It wouldn't be fair. To another commenter, they said, I have other health conditions and I don't think it'd be fair for children to have a parent who they will end up having to look after. I was that child and that isn't a childhood. Honestly, WOP, that is a very considerate thought process when going about having kids that I feel like a lot of people don't have. OP replied to a longer comment. Honestly, up until yesterday, his values aligned with mine. We had very frank and open discussions about the breakdown of his marriage and how he contributed to that. He was in therapy. His visits with his kids were, from his description, great. He always put them first and ensures he plans something they both enjoy as they both enjoy different things. I've had some health issues and he's taken care of me, challenged me to get up and about again. He's also thoughtful. He's not perfect by any means, but I do enjoy his company. As the divorce arrangements started to get hashed out, His children started asking questions that you wouldn't hear from a child. His ex asked him not to discuss anything with them, but the questions showed they were hearing something from somewhere. That's not descriptive enough. I need to know the questions, honestly. Like, why are these kids mad at him is very important to understanding this guy's character. Because honestly, a lot of the extra information that OOP's added makes me think that he is spiraling. Maybe he's like somewhat of a good dude, but the side of the fence I hop on is really dependent on his relationship with his kids. There are instances where the kids are the reason for the rift between parent and child. Not saying that that's a good reason for him to completely give up on them, but I at least want to know what the actual situation is. When the eldest said he was horrible for just walking out without saying goodbye, he corrected her and said it didn't happen that way. Obviously, they went back and asked their mom because she ripped into him and then didn't let him see them for 3 weeks. Then their attitude started changing. Now, I'm well aware I'm only hearing one side, but the difference between the visits even up to 6 months ago and now are very stark. What did it say up here? The relationship with his children is very strained and they don't like going to see him. I think it's at least worth the conversation, but if he's not willing to get back in therapy, I think you should just cut your losses. I mean, this sounds so messy, chat. And I also low-key think it would probably be a good thing for him not to jump straight back into a relationship. Like, focus on healing yourself after this divorce. Focus on trying to like at least getting your relationship with your kids to like a amicable level or acceptable level even. Like, I'm all about finding the person that you love and want to live your life with, but I also think at a certain point, like, homeboy's got to take care of himself and worry about processing his feelings of a divorce before he can handle a relationship. Seems like it happened during the divorce. I could see a few things going on. Maybe the dad did something shitty that caused the divorce that OP doesn't know about. Maybe the mom is saying a bunch of stuff about their dad / feeding them false info. Maybe they're struggling with the divorce and him moving on so fast. I just feel like this story could go either way. Like, this dude is actually a fucking terrible dad and is probably going to be a terrible boyfriend and partner to OP, or maybe there's other stuff going on and the boyfriend actually isn't as bad as we think he is, and he's just severely going through a crisis as anybody would when they're going through divorce. Update post March 12th, 2025. To those who never saw my replies and have the same questions, his kids were happy to see him when we met, but as the divorce became more acrimonious, they started to say things that, in my mind, children wouldn't typically say. If he had said anything about his children not wanting to see him when we first started dating, that would have been a red flag for me. Helping a friend through a divorce and listening to them go through various ideas is very different to the person you see doing it, especially when they are talking about things that means the end of the relationship. Anyway, onto the update. We met up and I asked him if he was aware that he said he thinks he wants to have more kids. He said, yes, it's a possibility. I said, you're aware that I'm on the waiting list for a hysterectomy? He said, yes. I said, so you're aware that this essentially means we're over? He said, it doesn't have to mean that. We could continue to see each other until I make up my mind. People, I nearly fell off my chair. I stared at him and realized that he actually never knew me at all. Anyone who knows me knows I would never put up with this foolishness. I actually laughed and said, you want me to continue to see you while you decide whether or not you want kids? And then if you do, I should just meekly walk away. Does that sound like that's fair? He said no, but he loves being with me and he doesn't want to lose me. I told him I was lost the minute he told me he might want more kids. I said I appreciate him telling me the truth, but the consequences of that means we're over. I told him what I'd have told a friend. Sort out your relationship with the children you have before making new ones, and gave him a book on that subject. I left and cried. I'm going to miss him a lot. He's been texting, but I may block him soon. I mean, that's tough, but I think OP made the right decision here. Not only for OP, but also for him. Like, dude needs to be alone and like process his shit for real. Honestly, good on her for not falling for the like, oh, well, we could still see each other like while I'm deciding. It's very easy to fall into that, but I think she's right. Like, you can't be waiting around for that. You can't keep building the feelings around a relationship that makes it even harder to leave when like there's a possibility that there's a deal breaker that would end the relationship. I think that's a waste of everybody's time.